public debt is becoming a very big issue, and I think in the next term of office in Parliament, in 11th Parliament, will be it will be a crucial issue to discuss. Why? Because now we are almost hitting 50% of our GDP, which economists tell us. I don't know why it's not 51 or 49. That is what economists say. We create a word, a number, and give us, and say it is 50. But we have to agree with them because they are specialists. But for me, sometimes when you say 50, I say, but why is it not 49.5 or 50.5? But that is the question, a mind of a scientist. The economists say it is 50. Now, it means that we are running a risk of not sustaining this debt as a country. And it's not very different from your common business. If you have business and you want to open up a supermarket or you want to start Uber, but this debt of yours, which you bought Uber, is 9 million. But you are almost, whatever you earn on a daily basis and whatever comes in, you are going beyond 50 million. I mean, you are going beyond 4.5 million. You are going beyond 50%. Is that sustainable? Probably not. What is more scary is that this debt, actually now our budget, GDP is a conglomerate of so many things. But our budget, we are using 38%. It means that for every money we earn, either from donors or what, 38% of our budget is going to debt repayment. Before we start anything, if you have 10 million, we have removed 3.8 million to pay debt. So we have only the other money, which is like 6.2 million, remaining to do the work. Thirdly, is that some of this money is actually not being used. I give a simple example. You have borrowed the money. This is now in Ntinda. You have borrowed the money to build apartments in Ntinda. The money was for building apartments and solving two issues. One issue was that you want to solve the issue of housing. Because that's why government borrows money. It borrows money such that it can solve a problem. And I'm giving this example of housing. You borrow money from a certain bank, you want to solve the issue of housing using a loan. Now, and you said your time for building these apartments was 6 months. But you use 5 years and the money is still on your account. What happens? First of all, you have not sorted the problem of which the money was supposed to do what? Which was intended to do. You have not sorted the problem of housing. Secondly, you are not earning money from your apartments. Thirdly, you are still paying the interest to the bank. So this is what is happening to Uganda. We borrow money. For example, it's supposed to improve health. The health has not been improved. And we are still even paying the interest to the people who we borrowed it from. As I talk, I hear every Ugandan is indebted. Even you. I don't know whether you have a child, but I may have 4. All my children and wife are now indebted by 1.5 million per head, even before they start working. So, you can imagine our debt is very unsustainable, and we must continue discussing this every other time. And also have a goodwill from especially our NRM leaders to see that at least we can reject some loans, which are not very important. Not every money, because money is there. In fact, bankers are always calling us. Bankers, when you get a job, the first thing they do is to call you. Do you want money? But if you don't want it, if you say, bring it and I put it on my account. So what is happening now sometimes, Uganda borrows without thinking. They first borrow money, put it on their account and say, by the way, what should we use this money for? Then they start planning. Instead of first planning with the people especially, and then the people say, we want this, and then they get a loan. For them, they get a loan, and then they go and ask the people, we have the money here. Would you like to use it? And sometimes people are too confused. their priorities are different from why they borrowed the money. World Bank has said you have borrowed money for housing and people want food. Now what do? They want health. That is why some of this money is still on the accounts. So we must continue discussing it and being very conscious and true to ourselves that this debt is not sustainable in the long run. Actually, in the short run. I don't know, it's a joke that if you become very corrupt in a government place and they corner you, one of the best ways to survive is to stand as an MP on an NRM ticket. There you are sure that they will say, that one is a good cadre. Even if you are too corrupt, they say it's a good cadre, leave him. Then you cover. So actually, some people sanitize their deeds from where they were working. It doesn't mean that we have lost the war. It doesn't mean that. We can still try to fight on. Let us still fight on, but let the people also make us fight. If somebody is corrupt and you know, don't give them a place in front when they go to church. Let them sit behind. But now if somebody is corrupt, they buy big cars, is the one who gets a front seat in church. If somebody is corrupt and has been implicated, let them name and shame them. And also let us also put the law in place such that anyone who is corrupt can be arrested and can serve the terms in jail. And after being arrested, they must bring back the money to the consolidated fund. Once it is brought back to the consolidated fund, the problem is that sometimes it can also be stolen again. That's why some MPs from opposition said, instead of taking back money for COVID, then it is stolen. Let me give it to my people. This is how far we have gone. But we shall not give up. We shall try to do our best. We shall try to fight corruption in all its forms. Hopefully, when we become organized as opposition, and opposition, I must warn the people in opposition, let us please be a good example. Let us not be as corrupt as our counterparts, such that people can have hope in us. They'll be saying, Kamara, at least if you can trust him with your country, he can lead it from one A to B. But if opposition is corrupt and NRM is corrupt, where will people get the hope from? So I hope that my fellow opposition members can give this country hope, but also the members in NRM of goodwill can always say, call a spoon, and not a big, not a small spade. Okay. So I think corruption is deadly, not only especially for citizens. For those people who are involved, they may think it is good, but it's a security risk for them. The moment people don't get services, that's where you see they are thieves. That's where they become rapists. That's when they become violent, and you cannot survive around the people who are violent, who are thieves, because they have failed to get services and they have failed to be included in the economy, just because you have amassed a lot of wealth around you. We can name and shame some of these people who are involved in these atrocities. We can discuss it. You see, if it was not Parliament which brought out these names and they said we are sure that these people have been captured and they are somewhere, do you think we would have known them? But this Parliament which came out, you also have to give them accolades for what they said, especially from the opposition. The opposition was very consistent in saying that people's rights have been abused. You are arresting people. People are incarcerated without any court process. And this is how we ended up having people, at least some of the people known. Now, about the human rights, I don't see the situation becoming better, because people are becoming very conscious about what they want. And I say this because for me, I'm not from Kampala here, I'm from Kabale. I deal with common people. People are conscious of their rights. People are conscious of what they should be done. And I don't see that a government which wants to remain, by all means, giving space, for example, for a demonstration which is peaceful. I don't see it. Yet people might want to demonstrate peacefully, without even a gun, without even a stick. In fact, in Uganda, if you demonstrate peacefully, even if you get a placard and sit in front of parliament, they will arrest you violently. So this is how the situation is going to be. But it doesn't mean that there is nothing without end. There are even more repressive governments which ended. But the important is to make sure that people continuously become aware of their rights. And we look for other ways. In opposition, it's about survival. In opposition, there is nothing. In civil society, also it's now considered as opposition. Civil society used to be neutral. But now the government thinks civil society is opposition. In fact, they say now either they say you are opposition, or they say you are working with an imperialist. That's the new word. You are working with the whites to disturb the country. But you see, when you are talking about values, when Hitler was disturbing Germany, who came to save them? Did they save themselves from themselves? No. Now Germany is not happy. Of course, the people like Saddam and what, they have not yet settled. But also it is Saddam who caused himself problems by overstaying. So Libya is also another example. It's not settled, but I mean, if he had sorted himself before, it probably wouldn't have reached there. So human rights, arrests, lack of space for people to demonstrate peacefully is going to almost remain the same. Probably improve a little. But the situation where we are, where there is no democracy, where people cannot choose, where they have one president every other time, and where there is no independence of institutions, and where the state organs, state organs like the army, should be very distant from government, very distant, such that if Kamara takes over tomorrow, is elected tomorrow, immediately you salute Kamara as a new president. But you see what happened in Chad? You see what happened? Instead of saluting the speaker, who was supposed to be a president constitutionally, they said, no, we are taking over. We have put now the son of what? Of the president. Okay? So this is the problem when you gag space. People become radicalized on both sides. Once they become radicalized, the state institutions like the army, like the police, now become agents of repression. And once you have that, it is anarchy in the long run.